What's good, y'all? This your country cousin Pete McCarvey, aka Petey Mac. Man, get on up here, pull you up one, light you up one, kick your shoes off, relax, baby. You around family, we on the porch. It's Pete McCarvey's Porch Talk. Let's do this.
What's going on, everybody? This is your country cousin Pete McCarvey, aka Petey Mac. Welcome back to the porch, man. Doing this one a little bit early in the morning on a Saturday because I just got back from Cape Verde. Yeah, y'all remember I was in Cape Verde on a work trip, and I'm back home now. And you know, jet lag is a motherfucker, man, because I actually went to sleep as soon as I got off, and now I'm up, and, you know, I can't go back to sleep. So I decided to, you know, come on the porch a little early. You know, the sun coming up, you know, the crickets, they starting to quiet down. But, hey, we gonna kick it. There's no set time to get on the porch and talk your shit, you know. So I'm up a little earlier, and we gonna talk our talk. First of all, in the sports world, I'm kind of mad because what should have been for the Knicks, them moving on, is just not them simply 3-2, which I'm confused because I thought the other day they was up 3-1 before they dropped that last game to the Celtics. But now I see that they just won and now they're at 3-2. So I'm confused because, like I said, I'm busy with work. I don't really keep up with sports like that. But it's good. The Knicks just got one more game to get to the conference finals. You know, I'm not gonna lie, the last couple of years the Knicks back looking like how they was in the 90s when they had John Starks and Big Pat Ewing and Charles Oakley, and who else was on that squad? You know, Larry Johnson for the last little bit, Charlie Ward, who was a Heisman Trophy winner for Florida State, who ended up going to the NBA. He was there during the Knicks run. Yeah, they starting back looking like the 90s Knicks, but hopefully they don't end up like the 90s Knicks, putting in all that work and not getting the damn thing. So I'm not a real big NBA basketball fan. Really don't watch the game like that for obvious reasons, you know, like I've said on the past few podcasts. But you know, they're looking good, so big ups to them. Really don't have any really new music to talk about. Kind of been like on an R&B kick, just R&B, just rap, mainly 90s R&B. Like nobody in particular, just going back. I'm just digging in the crates on Spotify now because really hadn't anything really released. As a matter of fact, I just like the whole week I was over in Cape Verde, I was just honestly just listening to what I wanted to listen to. Was I watched that sunset and I chilled by the beach. Mainly it was Larry June. Y'all know I'm gonna have to keep that June going because that's just player vibe music. Also with Lil Keem Ali on there, so like nothing real big on music. Now I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna talk about movies. So movies I've found, actually, like I'm gonna tell y'all, Tubi, actually people shit on Tubi movie, but Tubi actually got some great movies on there. Like I just saw one that was pretty good. A lot of people need to see it. It's called Angela's Cure, and it's a very good movie that deals with trauma and, you know, pain, bitterness, and all that, man. And it's got an all-star cast on it too. Pretty much was like damn near the Wood reunion, which is funny because the movie takes place in like South Central LA, but it had like a miniature the Wood reunion because Sean Nelson was in it, who played Mike. Dwayne Finley, y'all know him as y'all remember him as being Slim, and he's been in a couple movies, and he's not a goofball in none of his movies. He's actually a pretty decent actor, very like can hold his own. Because basically, my friend, fellow comedian Marlon Ballard, he knows dude personally. Because I remember it was another movie he did where he played. It was on Tubi. He played like a FBI agent, and I hit my friend Marlon up. I said, damn. I said, bro, Slim he actually can act, and he seemed like he could be serious. And he said, bro, the way you saw him in that movie, that's more of his personality. So he was in there. DeAndre Bonds was in there. Not Bonds. DeAndre Bonds was in there, man. He doing the thing. He did his thing. Of course, you know, he pretty much gonna be the same thing. He pretty much gonna be a with the shits person and all that. And I'm noticing ever since he's been out of jail, like even he was in Snowfall and a couple other things he did, you just can see the pain in that man's eyes. God looks like he definitely healing him, but there's definitely a lot of pain that man went through in life. So big up to him being in the movie. Essex Atkins, y'all know her as Yvette from Smart Guy, and Dee Dee from Half and Half, she's in there. Jennifer Freeman, who was on My Wife and Kids, she was in there. Like I said, it was a very Vanessa Williams, not that light bright one, the other one who played Keisha Rockabye Baby on New Jack City. And that woman is 62, y'all. She is 62 and can still get it. Still look like how she looked when she played Max on Soul Food on Showtime back in the day. But yeah, that's a real good movie that y'all need to watch. Also on Tubi that I found, it was a cartoon from the 90s. It was called Bear and Jamal. I found it on there. Man, that brought back so many memories of waking up on Saturday. Because unless you black, you don't really remember Bear and Jamal. It's about this young boy named Jamal who obviously lived in South Central, because they used to have so many references. They mentioned Crenshaw all the time. They mentioned Swap Meet all the time. And he had this teddy bear named Jamal, who was voiced by Tone Loc, named Bear. So obviously you know what side he was on, what side he was with. And they would take him on a lot of adventures. You know, he would like teach Jamal like valuable lessons, and it was just a great cartoon. It was very short lived, but they had a whole show's run on there. And I remember now looking at it, thought it was longer than that, but it was only 13 episodes. And that is crazy, because now that I look at that, I went back and I found two other short-lived black series for like kids from the 90s. One was another cartoon, used to come on the WB. It was called Wayne Head by the Wayans brothers. It was supposed to be based on Damon Wayans' adventures as a child, because he had like a club foot, because Wayne had like a club foot. And it dealt with him and his adventures with his, pretty much was like a modern day version of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. And the main character, Wayne Head, Damie, was voiced by Orlando Brown. Remember that cartoon too? It only lasted 13 episodes. And then it made me think of the ultimate one, because if it wasn't for this one, we wouldn't have gotten Amanda Seals, and that one is My Brother and Me. It ran on Nickelodeon. If you remember that, you remember they showed the same episodes from like 1994, 95 to like 1998. We was all sitting there, kids were sitting there like, okay, when are they coming out with a new episode? Because they've been rotating these same episodes for like 2-3 years. It only and matter of fact, it was funny because I mentioned Bear and Jamal. The voice of Jamal was Arthur Reggie III, who played Alfie, the older brother, on there. On My Brother and Me. Yeah. So here's the thing I realized about all three. Like I said, they all ran for 13 episodes. Bear Jamal had 13 episodes. Wayne had 13 episodes. My Brother and Me had 13 episodes. But I don't know if it's just the way they programmed it, was so great the way we didn't notice it, or those shows were that great and that memorable that we just weren't even aware that we was watching the same 13 episodes over and over again. But 13 seemed like it was the number for short-lived, memorable black children's programming. It was like, they were like, we'll give them 13. And then after that, because, 13 is historically an unlucky number. So it's like, was all this planned by the powers that be? But for them to only have 13 episodes, those three, if you're black in the 90s, you remember all three of them. And like I said, they all three had in common the number of episodes. There was 13. Also on Prime, before I got on the plane yesterday, I downloaded this movie and I watched it on the plane. Prime has the movie Street Fighter. Now, for all of y'all, you a 90s kid, you watch Street Fighter, everybody said how trash it was. It wasn't that bad. Not going back and look at it. It was pretty much an early 90s. If you want to consider 1994 early 90s instead of mid 90s. It was a regular 90s, late 80s, early 90s action movie. You had more action than you had realistic dialogue. It was only two things in there that messed me up about that. Number one was the fact that you had Jean-Claude Van Damme playing Colonel William Guile. For those y'all, that's the Sonic Boom from Street Fighter 2, which is what the movie is based on. And the man ain't American. Even as a little boy, I was like, how is he the leader of the American forces? I mean, it was the AA and the Allied forces supposed to be playing on the UN. But how is he representing America? And this man clearly don't sound like he from America. And then two, they made Honda. They made him Hawaiian. That's the only two things that I just didn't like about the rest of it. It was a regular early 90s movie, and it was geared towards kids for the most part. So of course it's gonna have his little modes and it's gonna have his ridiculousness about it and stuff that did. But two things that I caught in that movie that I had never really caught before. I didn't realize that Chung Lee was the same lady who was the actress who played the mother on Fresh Off the Boat and was the voice actor of Mulan. I have been watching that movie for years, never realized that was that same lady. And I don't want to mess up her last name because I know her first name is Ming, but I do not want to mess this lady's last name up. But y'all know who I'm talking about. I watched that movie over and over again, never caught that was her until this past time. I'm like, that's the voice of Mulan. And the second one is there's a scene where they show Bison. He's dealing with the control panel of his machine to release an all hands alert to his people. And I realized something. That control panel they show was the control panels for the arcade console for the video game of Street Fighter 2. Because I went back and said, wait a minute. That's the control panels. Because anybody who remember playing it back in the day, you remember you had two joysticks with the 6 buttons. And then on top of that, the little panel they had underneath, it showed a map of the world, because the original title of the original Street Fighter, anybody know, it was Street Fighter 2, World Warrior. So, because you're basically fighting all around the world, wherever you go. Like, you'll pick your character, and they'll show us a plane, and like you'll hit a plane going, and they say whatever country, like you pick. Then a plane flies and they'll go USA or Japan or Russia, before you fight whoever your opponent was. So like I said, the movie was very nostalgic, took me back to the 90s, back to being a kid. And actually you caught a lot of the players' moves, like especially that final battle. Like you caught like Ken giving his uppercut. You call Ryu, I don't know. Man, people mispronounce his name so much over the years. You call Ryu doing the spinning kick I ain't gonna lie, when it was little, I thought he'd say fucking Falcon. But I forgot what he said. He actually did the Oryukin. I mean, everybody called it, even though it pissed me off. That Oryukin was so weak. But they had to do what they had to do to make it be realistic. But I'm going to tell you a trope that I caught in here, and I never realized this was a trope until I watched it. When they were at the end and they showed Jean-Claude Van Damme, play Colonel Guile with the MP5, and you showed all of M. Bison's troops coming in, they had AK-47s, and he's fighting them off with that one MP5 versus AK. I told my friend yesterday when I was talking to him on the phone, I said that was a very common trope. And late in the 80s and up into the early 90s action films, you had all these evil guys with AK-47, and we know why they had the AK-47s. It was supposed to be a crack on the communists because Russians make AK-47s. So obviously, if the evil contingent in the movie has AK-47s, they're aligned with the communists. And our hero, no matter what movie he in or what he was doing, he usually was armed with nothing but an MP5. Which is American, which is like, not sure if it's American name because they given the name it is, but it's American. It's widely used by Americans. And it's always that these guys come in here, they got these banana clips, usually sometimes double banana clips, which can hold like maybe 60, 80 rounds, depends. And then this one person got this 30 round MP5 clip, and he's fighting them off. I said that was always the trope with those action movies. A bunch of people having AK-47s versus this one, our hero who got the MP5, which I don't understand because everybody knows the opponent for the AK-47 is the M16. So but then again, we had to remember our hero, he had to be mobile, he had to be able to move, so he's going to get an MP5. Like you saw in a lot of movies, like you saw it in this. You saw it. I think Iron Eagle did it. And the most famous what we saw it was Die Hard, which is one of the ultimate Christmas movies. It's not Christmas season until you see Die Hard. I don't give a damn what nobody say. That is a Christmas movie. Takes place at a Christmas party. They even played Let It Snow by Bing Crosby at the end of Die Hard. Hell, they played at the end of Die Hard 2 too, because technically Die Hard 2 is a Christmas movie, but it's like Home Alone 2. It's a Christmas movie, but we just only focus on number one. But yeah, that's something I caught on there. Now, moving on to my shows. I'm not going to be analyzing Godfather Harlem no more. It's just too much happening. I'm just trying to make it through the season. But my other two shows, they had their season finales. And now I'm sad face because I've got to wait till next year. So The Rookie did what it was supposed to do for a season finale. Oh my God. Okay, we start off, Lucy. She's a sergeant now. She's on night shift. She deal with this squad called the Dream Team. She was wondering why they called it Dream Team. She realized she has a lot of calls she responded to and nobody's coming. So she goes to like this parking garage and she sees all of them sleeping. And said, now I see why they call you guys the Dream Team, because you guys are always sleeping. Which kind of bothered me because that is a very big offense. That is dereliction of duty. And they are paramilitary, like the police are paramilitary. So sleeping on shift or on duty, or sleeping on watch, that is a very big dereliction of duty. You are could be brought up on criminal charges or at the least fired. So I didn't like how she just brushed that off and just accept the fact that they sleep. Like no, that wouldn't happen. Those guys would be fired or possibly put in jail. Because they can't go to jail for that. That's almost like bad as drinking on. That's almost bad as being drunk on duty. So we had another little case in there. It was kind of funny. Angela, and I'm starting to see what they were doing with like Angela and Harper, if they couldn't really put them with the main story of episodes. They'll give them like some little side mission that'll kind of give us comic relief. So Harper teams up with Nolan because Oscar comes back. They got Oscar come back. He escaped. He's wild. He's somewhere out in the desert. And they got Harper because like Wade has I keep calling him Sergeant. That Lieutenant Gray has given Nolan temporary detective status, and him and Harper, who never in a million years would thought I'd see them team up, but have become like good friends, team up, go hit the desert, go look for Oscar. Oscar, they have a manhunt for him. Oscar is a tasing Nolan, has him go through the desert, has him trying to dig up the treasure that he's looking for. Meanwhile, Nala finds out and she goes into like attack mode trying to find John, like I said, which I love because it shows how far they've come. It went from she couldn't stand him because she barely tolerated to her giving him a hug this season and calling him one of her best friends. It was beautiful. I mean, she went to the mat trying to find that man. Like she moved heaven, earth, and hell to find John. Ended up finding him because it was a kid at the hotel they were at. Had a drone, so she used the drone to help her scan the desert to find him. Ended up finding him by having the man knock the drone into Oscar. And then Oscar got away because as they were coming, as Nala was coming with the kid to come save him, here come Oscar's people on a helicopter to save him. Like they had looked like some crew serve weapons they had on that thing. Like they was scorching the earth with them rounds they was putting down at Nolan and Nolan and Nyla. Boy, they weren't playing no games, but he got away, of course. I'm going to say this. Anytime the Rookie shows us seeing the villain out in the desert, we going to always expect that the Rookie going to get away at the last moment by a helicopter or something. Like, if you go out to the desert, like, if you see the episode going out to the desert, just know that the Rookie is going to narrowly escape. Not the Rookie. I mean, the villain is going to narrowly escape. But Oscar, hey man, shout out to Oscar. Oscar, that man has got to be one of the funniest villains the Rookie has ever had. See, I'm one of them people, I like a villain that's either charismatic or a villain that's funny. And Oscar definitely is one of my favorite villains on the show. Because he is both. He's charismatic and he's funny. Now, back to what's going on in L.A. The Eastern Front reared its ugly head again. Miles is trying to date in L.A. And Tim told him straight up, he's like, dating in L.A. is the worst. And Tim is not lying. Like, if you date in Southern California, oh my God, man, eat your Wheaties. You can even be like the most in shape, tall, good looking man. It's gone. Boy, them are some of the most flaky ass people I have ever met in Southern California. So you just need to, when you date, because he told them one thing. Tim told him, he said, don't get your expectations up. He said, keep your expectations low. And that's very, very true, that you need to keep your expectations low. Because he was like asking Lucy and Tim at the same time. They kind of was talking to each other through him. And I don't like the way they got Miles not being able to pick up on there's something going on between Lucy and Tim. Because, like, Selena caught it right away. That's why I like I said, I don't like the fact that they got Miles, like, being from the South and he kind of a step behind. It's just like he kind of like the bumbling southern idiot sometimes. I'm like, we are not like that. Because like I said, I love how Selena, early in the season, something went on. She just stood back. She said, there's something going on between those two. They got her as, you know, they got her very, very sharp, but they got Miles just not being able to pick up on stuff. Like, it's a couple of times Lucy and Tim and says he just looks and just scratches his head and walks off. And I'm like, bro, you can't pick up on this shit. But yeah, he goes out on a date, and the Eastern Front, he goes out with this girl. She's asking him all kind of questions. He looks down at her chain and notices something on her chain. He was like, hold up, there's something about this number 7 that's a dead giveaway. And Selena's like, it could be the number completion and all that. Then he said, no, I think that's something for the Eastern Front. So actually, this is one of the times, because they give him moments where he's sharp, but for the most time, like, I don't know. But it's like moments where he's sharp, like last week's episode when the Charity, Nolan's half brother Pete's girlfriend was stuck in that mall, and she signed mall, and he was able to pick up, but he was able to pick up on this when he went out with the old girl to see that for the Eastern Front. And he's like, I don't know, I think that's something with the Eastern Front. And he looks out the window and he sees people like out there like, hey, we're going to try to get a lure on my side. We're going to kill him. And just as he's doing that, because he's on the phone with Selena, having her run the old girl through LAPD. And it's like, hey, she has a rap sheet. Her brother works for Eastern Front. Get out of there. Miles narrowly escaped, commandeers a vehicle, calls Lucy. And this is one of the best sequences they had. Not just the season, on the show. Basically, a car chase shootout where, he's firing back a little bit. They firing at him, and it was shot beautifully. But then he ends up getting Lucy, calling Lucy like, hey, I'm taking fire and all that. Lucy like, hey, go. She's like, turn left here, take him over here. We got to bring the chase to us, so we can get civilians out the way. Lucy goes, go get to the drinks. He said, wake your ass up, we got an officer in trouble. She do it all, one swift motion, don't get out the car, don't stop the car, bust a Huey, and off. Ooh, that was one of then they corner him. They neutralize, cover him, corner him, and arrest him. I thought that was the most beautifully shot sequence. And not just to see, like I said, the whole show. I love that. Like I said, the side mission that they had with Angela. Angela was dealing with a man who had robbed a bank, who had got catfished. Come to find out, the man was catfished by his own wife because she just said she played on how gullible he was, made her sick. She said she never thought the man would rob a bank. She said he couldn't do nothing for me, or he can't even remember this stuff, but for her, he can rob a bank. And that just shows like how absurd some people can be. Some people in relationships can be. They can do the most absurd shit, then get pissed off when the shit backfired on them. But the piece de resistance for the ending of this season was Tim finally came to terms with how he feel. He let his guard down. Told Lucy how he felt, suggest they move in together. Unfortunately, night shift been taking a toll on Lucy, and she fell asleep. So that was a piece of resistance. But I'll take that back. That was one of them. But the piece of resistance was how the season ended. Now, it worried me for a moment because Nolan had to go to a building they called like a bunch of big windows. It was for the Department of Homeland Security. They called a bunch of people, and I thought, they calling all these people in because Eastern Front of somebody set this shit up, and they finna bomb the place. But that is not what happened. They said they had somebody who has information that they need detrimental to Homeland Security. They can help them with the Eastern Front. And we look up, and lo and behold, who do we see coming down there with the sexiest switch we've ever seen? We see Monica. And she got a sexy ass switch. Because I want to think about, I love a woman with a switch. And she came in there switching them hips, just walked by. And she had a skirt on. Them legs was legs. Because my homeboy Marcus from high school, he got a theory. He said, man, look, I got a theory. Say any woman that come in to a show who got a pantsuit on, she going to raise hell. And then when I hit him up, because he's a big fan of the show too, and I told him, I said, you see that series or not? He said, like I always say, my theory stands. He said, if a woman got a pantsuit on, she finna come raise hell. And he one lineman, so I'm looking forward. So that's how you end the season. You end it with just enough. It's not really a cliffhanger, but you leave it with enough to hang on to see what's going to go on. That's how you do a season finale. Not another show that kind of ended, and it ended good, but it was like, oh my God, why y'all do this? And that's Raising Kanan. So this episode of Raising Kanan, number one, let's just go start off and say this. We finally have met Breeze. So we can stop with all of the theories of who Breeze is. Breeze is Snapping Pop's nephew, played by Shameik Moore, who y'all remember as Malcolm from the movie Dope, and as Raekwon the Chef from the Wu-Tang series, the Wu-Tang Saga. That is who Breeze is. And I'm so glad because I got so tired of everybody. Oh, Unique is Breeze, Ronnie is Breeze, this is Breeze. No, we met Breeze. So now we see who Breeze is. He is their nephew who they wanted Kanan to partner up with, who I don't trust it because I think that he pretty much is going to be trying to backdoor Kanan. And I really think that the way we know how Snap and Pop is, how bogus they are, we know that Ghost and Tommy was probably trying to save Kanan from how treacherous Breeze was. So we can look forward to that. Jukebox, she kind of, I don't know what to say about Jukebox. She kind of then told Rock about herself because her and Rock somewhat was close, and Rock and her, and because you telling Rock, she was like, look, Kanan sees how y'all moving, so that's why he moving the way he moving, because he see how you moving. And then Rock was like, hey, you need to watch yourself. She said, because Juke, you ain't no child, I'm gonna make you stand on some of that stuff. She said, because you turning out to be like your father, whoop de whoop, because she's still trying to run Marvin's name through the mud. Juke said, I'd rather be like him than be like you, and get up and walk away. Unique at the beginning of the episode, boy, this is one disrespectful ass dude. He's sitting there talking about everything he did in bed with Rock, right in front of Lou and all this, that, and the third. And I'm like, boy, you one disrespectful ass nigga. You know, Stefano, he caught it in the show. Like, never would have thought Stefano would have got poked up. He got poked up by the guy from Jersey. Marv, he put down early for botching the hit on trying to get that money from the guy from Howard Beach. You know, Kanan, Kanan just being Kanan. I've learned this from the show. It's called Raising Kanan, but he played like a minor role in his own like series about his coming of age. You deal with everybody else's story around him. Maybe it's because we saw how he ended up, and we know him from the OG series. But he don't really play that big a role in this series to me. What else happening? Oh yeah, Lou is in full effect. He didn't kidnap Pernessa and Unique's LaSon. Lou is back full effect, man. I'm loving seeing Lou back like this. Like I said, it was a lot to unpack, but the way it ended, when we saw Kanan with the gun, the Rock's head, and then it just go to black, and we hear a gunshot. So, and now we gotta wait till next year. I don't know if we gotta wait till next year. 50 might, because they already showed production from season 5, even before season 4 came out. So 50 might hit us with a double whammy. We might get that later this year. But either way, man. Raising Kanan ended, just a lot of stuff will unpack. I think hopefully season 5 is not the last season. We finna see how everybody coming full effect. Hopefully, we probably gonna be introduced to Ghost and Tommy. And then if we introduce the Ghost and Tommy, then we'll know, okay, we pretty much where we were before we picked up on the OG power. Man, I'm about to get up out of here. Before I get up out of here, something that went on this week, And it's something that's driving the divide between men and women for the most part. But it need to be said. That's this thing that's going on. Like this court proceedings have started with the federal case of Diddy. Everything. We all thought it was going to be a RICO case, but come to find out it's not, because Cassie has been called in to testify about the freak-offs. And there's a lot of stuff she testifying about the freak-offs. Everybody's saying, oh my God, she's a victim and all that. I'm going to say this and people get mad. Cassie was not a victim in none of that freak-off shit. She's not a victim in none of that freak-off shit. Now, she was a victim in what happened to her on that elevator. You know the tape we saw sometime last year, earlier this year, late last year, where she was running from the man and ended up getting caught by the elevator. He beat the holy hell out of her. She is definitely a victim on it. And I'm mad about that tape. I'm mad at her about that tape. And it's not about, well, she should have known, should have been with. No. I'm going to tell y'all what I'm mad about. And every woman listening, I want y'all to listen to me. If you are in a situation like that, and it's life or death, do not stop to put your shoes on. Please get out of there. Your safety is paramount. That's what they say to us a lot. You know, like in the military, when you're ever about to do a training exercise, normally involving weapons or something, any type of physical activity, the number one thing they tell us is safety is paramount. And that is something that's paramount. Ladies, if you're trying to get away from it, obviously your shoes are off while you're trying to get away. You're in a situation where life is of the essence. Do not stop and put your shoes on. Fuck that. If your shoes not being on are not a hindrance, like your feet could get caught up in something, get to safety. Worry about your feet later. Your main priority is to get away with your life intact. Do not stop and say, hey, I can put my shoes on. I got fuck them shoes. Get out of there. That's the only thing I was mad at. Not victim shaming. I'm just mad because she could have died. But these freak offs, no. She ain't no victim of that. And I'm gonna tell you why she not no victim of that. Because here's what a lot of people are saying. And a lot of people hit me with this shit. Well, she was 21, her brain wasn't fully functioning. I ain't trying to hear none of that shit. Because you're 21, you're an adult, you know better. Because here's what I'm saying. If you're at 18, your ass can pick up a gun and fight for this country. You can join the Marines, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Coast Guard. So your brain can be fully functioning, go pick up a gun and stand on the wall and defend this country. But it's not fully, no, I'm not trying to hear that. You are full age, you can buy alcohol and all that kind of shit. Her brain was fully functioning. Because somebody tried to hit me with, your brain ain't fully functioning. No, that's bullshit. Yes, it is. And as I said, because you know why? If somebody go out there and shoot somebody go out there and rob a bank, we ain't gonna be, your brain wasn't fully functioning. He was 18 and no bullshit. You're gonna get them motherfuckers 15 to 30 if it's a bank, or you're gonna give them 25 to life if it's a murder. And then somebody tried to hit me with this goofy shit where, no, to sit there and rob a bank and all that, shoot somebody, what does that have to do with you not knowing? And that has nothing to do with morality. I said, get your dumb ass off my fucking timeline. Because you sound stupid. So morality don't play into your thought process. Morality is literally you thinking of, hey, is this right? Or like, no, this is right and this is wrong. You have to think. So yeah, that's part of your brain process. Get your goofy ass out of it. It's people like that who always try to move the goal line, mainly it's women, because they don't never want to hold a woman accountable for her shit. Because here's the thing, I'm going to go back and we're going to talk about it with Cassie. Cassie, you know what happened with Cassie? She tried to sell her soul to become famous, and it didn't work. Because we all talk about Cassie went this. No, you was a willing participant. And a lot of people been screaming about all these things that Diddy been doing with these freak offs. Oh, he a menace, he a monster. Is a man a monster, a menace? Yeah. But all them people, grown people, they was sick. They were willing participants. And she was a willing participant. The only reason why she's mad right now is because she did all this shit for this man to become famous, and it didn't fucking work. She didn't become famous like she thought. Because I guarantee you, if her ass would have did all this, I guarantee you she had ended up blowing up, becoming the next Beyonce. She wouldn't have testified at this RICO trial. This is her being bitter. But you know what? This is karma, because who remembers a guy named Ryan Leslie? who was supposed to be like the next great singer-songwriter for Diddy, but Diddy backdoored him because Cassie was his old lady. He backdoored, made this man think that he was going to give him a record deal and all that, only for him to push that man aside and bring Cassie up because Cassie, he wanted Cassie. And Cassie totally did that boy wrong. And I'm going to be honest, Ryan Leslie had some fire music. I remember listening to some of his stuff back in the day. That man's music was fire. So this is her karma for doing that man dirty. And let's keep it funky. She wasn't never going to become famous for real. Now that I think about that song, Me and You, I remember hearing it back in the day. It was like, I remember hearing it on the radio like, she sounded like a wannabe Sierra. Then I remember seeing that God awful video with her crawling around. I was like, she's terrible. Because she came out to like, oh, it got discovered that she couldn't sing. When you saw the Me and You video, you could tell she couldn't sing. So all this, what happened to the $30 million she had? That way everybody think is going on. Think she done ran through that money. The money's out, and now so this is where she coming with this testifying. The person I feel sorry for the most in here is her husband. He had to sit through that testimony here, all the disgusting stuff that man did with that. Woo, boy, hey, what the old people say, you're a better one than me, because I couldn't do it. But then again, it goes to the point where he was her personal trainer hired by Diddy. So he probably knew what it was going down to, but he probably wasn't invited to a lot of that stuff that they was there. Cause they said that man walked out that cold room, but here's the thing, bro. You know who you married. That's why here's the thing. Like, men, this is why women, let me tell y'all something. When they talk about your past don't matter, that's the fuck it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Cause here's the thing, ladies. We love a hoe. We just don't want to marry one. You know what I'm saying? Cause like, here's the thing. I got a friend of mine named, cause like everybody be like, oh, y'all be worrying about women's past. Yeah, cause I'm not trying to make that, but there's nothing wrong. Cause I ain't Snoop Dogg. At all. Snoop Dogg don't love them hoes. I love them because they play a part. Like one of my friends named Kevin, he always say this, I love honest. He said, he said, I love me a good hoe. And my other homeboy, Trevante, went to high school. He say this, he like, I love an honest hoe. So men, we love hoes because they fun. But do we want to marry one? Like We-Bay said on the Wild when he caught them bodies, nah. Anyway, man, that's been my time on the porch this week, man. I'm finna try to see if I go back in the bed and get me a little sleep. If I get my hair cut later on this afternoon. Look, man, y'all know where to find me. Find me on Facebook, Pete McCarvey. That's the name on Facebook. You find me on Instagram, PETEYMAC10, Petey Mac 10. You can find me on TikTok, Petey Mac 89, same as Instagram. They drop the 1 to 0, put an 8 and a 9. Until next week, y'all be cool, stay calm, and get paid. Peace.